Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's SAP Community Call. My name is Laura. I'm an SAP Community Advocate, and I will be moderating this call today, which is all about MDG Quick Start, and you will learn how to jumpstart your MDG implementation project to gain fast time to value. We have two great speakers for the call today, who are Dilip Radhakrishnan, MDG Quick Start Solution Owner, and Ricardo Progi, who is MDG Quick Start Solution Architect. Happy to have you both here today. Before we start, a few notes from my side. As always, this session will be a 60-minute session. Both of them will be presenting for approximately 45 to 50 minutes, and then we will also have a Q&A session in the end to address any open questions that you have. And for that, I invite you to post your questions here in the chat, and please make sure that you're logged into YouTube in order to be able to use the chat function. And yeah, with that being said, I'd like to hand it over to you both for starting the presentation.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, Laura. So warm welcome to all of you into the call. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're dialing in from. Ricardo and I are very excited to be in the call today to present MDG Quick Start. I think many of you are already familiar with what is MDG Quick Start, but since it's an open session today, we also have people in the audience who are relatively new to MDG Quick Start. So we'll kind of start from a baseline, reintroducing what MDG Quick Start is, and then go into details of what content it has. Later on today in the session, in the second half of the session, what we'll be also sharing with you is how the roadmap looks like and what we plan to introduce in the forthcoming release in a few months. Yeah, so we're very excited to share this with you. Without much ado, let's quickly get started. Yeah. All right. So MDG Quick Start. So MDG has been around for quite a while, right? It's not a new solution. It's one of our very successful solutions in the data governance space. There are so many customers implementing MDG. So MDG Quick Start is essentially an approach, a way of implementing MDG, which gives you an accelerated start to your MDG project, sets a very nice baseline in terms of best practices, provides you with a lot of content with which you can kickstart your implementation, and overall, get faster time to value. That's MDG Quick Start in an overview. It also covers the entire gamut of MDG solutions. So for those of you who are familiar with MDG, MDG is made up of 4 pieces: the central governance piece, the consolidation piece, the master data processing piece, and the data quality management piece, including all the analytics capabilities. So it covers the entire gamut of that across the different MDG domains. We'll go into details of this later in this session. But it's a way for you to do your MDG implementation. It's becoming very popular. I mean, so many customers who are starting their journey with MDG Quick Start. So that you're not starting with an empty box and then trying to figure out, what do I do now? How do I start my governance journey, right? Having said that, it's not an either or between MDG Quick Start and your classical Activate methodology. So SAP recommends an Activate or Agile methodology to do your project, and MDG Quick Start only gives you a faster foundation. So it doesn't replace that, and it's not a replacement for your implementation. So if you have your own team implementing it, or an SAP partner implementing it for you, or SAP Consulting implementing it for you, they would still be advising you on how best to design your system, but your starting point will be much more far ahead, and your whole design exercise would be based on already a foundation that is provided, and that is what makes it very powerful. Some customers who use MDG Quick Start also call it MDG in a box. I've heard this from a few of the customers. They say it makes sense to call it MDG in a box because that's essentially how they see it. We ship an entire system to the customer, which is coming fully pre-configured. Customer receives the system, install it on their landscape, and then lo behold, when they switch it on, they have a fully working MDG system on which they can actually start a detailed design session, right? So a lot of, if that helps you understand it better, a lot of customers call it also MDG in a box. So irrespective of what you call it, the primary purpose of the solution is to address your faster time to value in terms of an MDG implementation. Now, a little bit of history on why we created MDG Quick Start. So as you know, MDG as a solution has been around for many years. We've been advising, consulting with customers who are moving to their data governance journey for so many years. We've seen so many use cases. So a couple of years back, we wanted to kind of revisit the whole approach to MDG implementation and then see what are the challenges or where are the biggest challenges customers are facing when they start their MDG journey, and how can we help them actually accelerate that journey and solve those blocks that the customers or challenges the customers are facing, right? So we did actually an extensive survey across our customer base. We also talked to our colleagues in the field, consultants, architects, MDG sales experts, etc., to understand what are those things that they are hearing from their customers. What are customers, feeling about their whole MDG journey, because it's been implemented with so many customers already. And MDG Quick Start is actually a result of taking all that feedback and translating it into a new way of starting the MDG journey, which kind of addresses all of these different gaps. If we were doing this, let's say 10 years ago, a lot of things that we do today might not be possible because of the technology restrictions. But because today the way we handle technology and the way systems are deployed and all of that has become so flexible, so easy to do, it gives us so much more opportunities how you can actually rethink, relook at the way you will start your MDG journey, and then use some of those capabilities to actually speeden up your project engagement, right? So some of the things that came back from customers was that the initial startup time for an MDG system was very high. Yeah. So they had to download the software, they need to activate all the switches, then a whole series of configuration steps to be done, services to be activated, Fiori apps to be configured, and a lot of technical knobs and switches to be turned on to get the full-fledged MDG running, right? So they said, is there a way we can actually, not do this and straight go into a design exercise? So this was one challenge that customers put in front of us. Secondly, a lot of customers who are starting their MDG journey are moving from solutions, master data solutions, which did not have a governance capability, right? They had some email based management scenarios. They used workflows sometimes. And then there was somebody collecting all this in an Excel sheet and punching it on the SAP system and so on. So, they had a certain way of doing their own data governance or data management. And when they move into MDG, if they've not seen an MDG system extensively, if they don't have a reference system, what we realized is the way they designed the new governance system will be an exact replica of how their earlier system looked like. And this led to a lot of escalations later on in the projects, because the whole design of how these scenarios are built are not really suitable for a data governance organization. So one of the aims of MDG Quick Start is to avoid a purely paper-based design exercise when you're actually starting your MDG project. The third thing is, governance is all about ensuring that your business concepts are married into your data management framework. So so one of the key strengths of MDG Quick Start is the fact that it comes with a lot of rich business content. So why do you want to start your governance process with an empty box? So the whole purpose, so MDG as such delivers some content to you, but the MDG Quick Start further enriches that content, gives you more rules, more validations, more workflows based on all the best practices and the experience that we have working with customers implementing MDG. So it gives you a much richer starting point in terms of MDG, right? And lastly, but not a trivial issue again, a lot of customers want to kickstart their MDG journey, sometimes face non-availability of infrastructure. Maybe their systems are not provisioned. They want to start the design exercise, but their cloud partner has not set up their environment yet, and so on. So some of them did also ask us, is there a way we can actually start what we are doing and then eventually move over once our infrastructure is ready? So it's a slightly different challenge, not directly related to MDG, but somehow we thought, okay, let's combine it. Can we actually also make an offer here, which customers could leverage to kickstart and start their governance journey quickly? So that's the foundation on which the MDG Quick Start was built. Now, from a solution perspective, as I said, it's a fully pre-configured MDG system, which is ready to deploy. So you can take the system literally, deploy it, switch it on, bring it up, and lo and behold, it's working, right? All the Fiori apps, all the applications, you can start creating your material master, for example, right? And what we also do when we are actually delivering MDG Quick Start, we also spend time with the project team, actually walking them through what is in that box that they've got, right? So they have a good stand on, what is already there, what do I need to do more, right? So a lot of pre-built business content is delivered. And as I said, optionally, if you want to start in a temporary infrastructure before you move on to your actual home production environment, that option is also available. So essentially, MDG Quick Start is giving you a faster time to value, reducing your overall startup time, giving you out-of-the-box content, and because of all of this, your overall project execution is significantly improved, right? So let's move on and then see how this compares to a traditional approach of MDG implementation, right? Or any other traditional implementation approach that you would take with SAP. So you would start by preparing, your scope document. There would be a paper-based design, the tech spec, a func spec, and then based on all of this, you would make actually a scenario design, and then you will go build the scenario design into this. And then typically you would have a waterfall model or one of these models where your business looks at it and then they say, okay, what improvements they want. And then maybe through multiple iterations, you would get close to, in a multiple phased manner, close to where you want to be, right? MDG Quick Start uses a template-based approach, which means you already have a base starting point on day one. On day one, when you start, you're not starting with an empty box. The data models are there, the rules are there, workflows are there. A lot of configuration is already in the box. So what you do, even when you start your design exercise, is that you do a show and tell to your business, especially if they are new to this data governance concept. You do a show and tell to tell them this is how an MDG system will look like. And let's take a sample workflow of how material will be created through multi-party collaboration, in an end-to-end master data creation or change perspective. And let's see how well it fits into what we have, right? So you would be able to actually walk them through on a screen how this whole process looks like. So they get really a good understanding of what an MDG system entails, what the system that they're going to work on entails. And then you would go into kind of like a fit gap analysis. And then they would say, hey, you have a 4-step workflow here, but this branching is missing. Can we actually do that? So then you would just copy over a workflow that's already there, add one additional step to it, and then you have the flow that they are asking you to put down, right? They'll be looking at the rules and say, okay, we like these rules, we don't like these rules, switch them off. And then you could then switch them off or add new rules, right? So the whole approach would be very different. And this would lead to better realization in an MDG project. This is a proven fact. It's been seen with so many successful MDG customers so far using MDG Quick Start. Yeah. And overall, therefore, your project risk goes down. You're doing your MDG project with the best practices approach. Sometimes we see The quality of the MDG implementation depends on the quality of the team implementing it. If they have less experience, then we see more issues, errors coming up. So all of this would, to an extent, get nullified because you would start with a solid foundation, a baseline, which is based on best practices and SAP recommendations. Yeah, and it overall then would decrease your project implementation cycle. All right. So now let us look at a little bit at a high level, because I know that there are also participants who are relatively new to MDG. Let's look at it a little bit high level so that we also get an idea of what is that inside the box, right? So MDG has standard domains, and domain means a master data object. So here we have 4 domains: materials, customers, suppliers, and finance. Of course, customers and suppliers are combined together in the model called a business partner. And from a solution perspective, MDG offers you 4 solutions: data governance, data quality management, your data consolidation, which includes matching, merging, etc., and then your mass processing capabilities. Now, for every domain of MDG, you have multiple solutions which is available to you. And when you buy MDG, you have access to all the 4 solutions. I've seen a lot of customers who didn't actually leverage anything beyond governance because sometimes the team implementing it wasn't very confident about the remaining solutions at all. So, Quick Start in a way overcomes that by already giving you a working version of data quality management, a working version of consolidation. So you can already see how that looks and then see whether you want to leverage it and how you want to enhance it, right? So MDG Quick Start, when you buy MDG Quick Start per domain, you will have all of these solutions already pre-configured. And that's a lot of rich content ready to go on day one. Later on in the session today, Ricardo will quickly show you how many applications that are, right? That's lots and lots of applications. So that's a starting point. Maybe you don't need all this, but you can always turn them off. Yeah, and then turn them on back again whenever you want, right? And MDG typically is deployed in 2 ways. One, it's deployed in a standalone way. It's called a hub implementation, or you co-deploy MDG on top of your operational S/4HANA system. Irrespective of the way you deploy MDG, MDG Quick Start can help you. Yeah, so we support both the ways of deployment. The method of deployment will be slightly different, but the content that is deployed will get you to the same starting point and would give you the same value that you will have. One thing important to note, the focus of MDG Quick Start is the standard domains. We've got requests from customers asking us if we can also expand it into EAM and RFM domains, but we have not done that so far because we have other priority topics to look at, right? MDG Quick Start is focused on materials, customers, suppliers, and finance, and the business partner data model underneath, right? So if we move a little ahead, as I said, you can deploy it on the hub or you can co-deploy it. What we deploy on the hub, that is called an MDG Quick Start template-based deployment, because you literally get the entire MDG template, which you can receive and deploy either on-prem or on one of your hyperscaler providers, whether it's SAP or any other provider that you have. And it's suitable for greenfield systems. If you're starting MDG afresh, either you have MDG on ECC and then you're restarting MDG on a greenfield, or it's the first time you're implementing MDG. So for all greenfield implementations, MDG Quick Start template is the right choice for you. If you have MDG co-deployed on your S/4HANA, a template wouldn't work. So we have something else called an MDG Quick Start service. It's essentially the same thing as the template, but the way we deliver content to you and we get the system running for you is slightly different. And this is more suitable for brownfield systems. By brownfield, what we mean is that you already have MDGM implemented. So that system is already a brownfield system. And now you want to start with a different MDG domain. Let's say you want to start with supplier master, for example. So in all those cases, what we recommend is an MDG Quick Start service. Irrespective of where you start, whether with 1 or with 2, you will land at the same spot in terms of quality of content, richness of content, best practices, and your starting point. Yeah. So just 2 different variations depending on where the customers are today. All right. So if we move a little ahead, Ricardo, could you just move ahead?
Yes.
All right. And would you want to take over, Ricardo, and then maybe
yes,
walk us
thank you
through
so
what
much,
the difference is, and then also a little bit on content itself. And I'm also excited to hear, what are the new features that are planned for the upcoming release.
Yes, thank you so much, Dilip. So in the next slides, would like to give you a little bit more details, drill down a little bit about the deployment model and the content that we provide as part of the MDG Quick Start, right? As Dilip just mentioned, basically, as you can see in this slide, we have a quick comparison between the two different options that we have to deploy our Quick Start service. On the left side, we have the template delivery. On the right side, the service delivery. And as you can see, from a content perspective, from a coverage of data domain perspective, there is absolutely no difference, right? In both deployment models, we will be able to help you with the 4 standard data domains: material master, customer, supplier, and finance. And the content that you will get is actually the same, independently that you decide to go for a template deployment or for a service deployment of our Quick Start solution, right? And as Dilip just mentioned a few minutes ago, right, the most important part is that our content is not only limited to the core central governance capabilities of the MDG solution, but is spread across all the 4 pillars of the suite, right? So we cover central governance, consolidation, mass processing, analytics, process analytics, and with the latest releases, also data quality management, right? What is the main difference between these 2 approaches is the project duration, right? And as you can easily understand, if we talk about a template delivery, the duration can be shorter. Why so? Because we will provide you with an export of our reference system, and so the activities that we have to perform after the initial restore of the system in your premises will be less, right? There will be less amount of activities to be done. On the other side, if we talk about a brownfield implementation where we can only deliver our content as a service, in this case, it will take us a little bit longer to complete our work, right? And we normally talk about the time frame of 4 to 6 weeks. Why so? Because again, here there is more manual checks to be performed at the beginning of the deployment, more manual configuration. That's why the duration is slightly longer. But again, as you can see, with both approaches, you can get a fully working MDG system in a few weeks, right? From a target environment perspective, we actually support any kind of infrastructure, on-prem, on cloud. Of course, if we talk especially about a template delivery and we talk about hyperscaler infrastructure on a cloud, our basis team can really support from the beginning and can even take care of the initial installation of the system on the cloud server. Otherwise, in case you decide to handle this part internally with your own infrastructure partner, or if you want to deploy on your on-prem data center, in this case, of course, we need support from your infrastructure team because we will not get access to the system. But once again, just to summarize, no difference in content, no difference in domain coverage, and also no difference from a price point perspective. Independently from the kind of deployment that fits better to your needs, we will be able to help you with our MDG Quick Start system, right? And then move forward and start to talk a little bit about the content. Here we are. As Dilip mentioned before, right, MDG is not a kind of a plug and play solution. And for you, in order to be able to, for example, create your first material or update your customer within the MDG solution, there is all a set of business switches, configuration activities, content to be pre-enabled. With our Quick Start package, we will take care of this, right? We will provide you a system where all the standard pre-delivered content prepared by SAP is already activated, enabled, and tested. So we will ensure you that everything that we provide you in the system is in a fully working state, and you can start to use it from day one itself. And what we did, we also decided to somehow extend the standard baseline content of MDG with our additional reference content to help you in your implementation journey, right? When I talk about this additional business content, I'm talking about additional workflow templates, additional business rules, process templates, and so on. All of this is based on our previous experience, right? So we decide to somehow club together what we learned in the previous engagement with our customers and to build some kind of best practice content, right? Let me call it in this way. The idea here is, of course, is not to give you something that probably fit 100% to your specific business needs and project requirements, but either to provide you some reference content that can be used by your implementation team, by your technical guys, in order to understand how the workflow can be modeled, how rules can be implemented in the system, and so on, right? So to help you to speed up your implementation project with some pre-built content that can be used either as it is or can be copied, extended, and then adapted to your specific business needs and requirements. An important point is that all the UIs that we deliver as part of the MDG Quick Start are actually Fiori-enabled applications, right? Just to spend the word, what is Fiori? Fiori is the current new UI technology of SAP and is actually the de facto standard in the S4 world. And technically is nothing but the implementation prepared by SAP of UI5 technology to provide a domain agnostic, rich experience to all our business users. When we are done with our delivery, what will happen, we will take care of organizing a detailed handover session with your project team, where we will walk through them through the system to showcase what is the configuration in place, which processes are active, and so on. And on top of this, you will get also a detailed documentation that will explain in detail what is the scope of the Quick Start package that we deliver, and what are the specific activities done in your specific system during the initial deployment, right? So you will get really technical step-by-step guide that you can then reuse in the future when you want to build, for example, your quality, your production systems. On top of all of this, we also provide inside the Quick Start package some additional scope items. This includes, for example, the possibility to help you in loading sample data set into the MDG consolidation tables. And most important, we also include a small amount of expertise on demand hours, consulting hours that you can use in the following weeks after the initial deployment in order to clarify technical and or functional topics related to MDG and the MDG Quick Start. Yeah? And if we go a little bit more in detail, in this slide here, we have a detailed overview about the content that we provide as part of the Quick Start. And without going inside any single point, you can see that basically we will take care of providing pre-enabling every single functionalities provided by the MDG suite, like, for example, HANA search capabilities, duplicate checks, all the business workflows and processes that are part of the standard content are pre-activated, tested for you. On top of this, as I mentioned before, we have a specific content that is available only as part of the Quick Start. We have sample configuration, for example, regarding data distribution, regarding data import capabilities of MDG. All of this, again, with the goal to simplify your future project activities, right? So you will not start from scratch, but you will already have some reference implementation in the system that you can use for your future activities, yeah? And this content, as you can see, covers all the different areas of SAP MDG. It's not only for central governance, but we also have specific samples, data quality rules for data quality management. We have pre-built process analytics done for you and so on, right? So all over the MDG suite, you will find specific pre-built business content that will help you in your implementation journey. Yeah. Okay, so saying this, then we can then move to the last slide I have for today regarding what's going on at the moment in the MDG Quick Start world and what are our future plans, right? So as we mentioned at the beginning of the call, it's roughly 3 years that we released the first version of our Quick Start service, and we first start with MDG on S/4HANA 1909. And every year we are basically building the new package as soon as the new version of MDG is available. The current version is related to MDG on S/4HANA 2021, right? And in this version, what we have included all the latest functionalities that are provided by the MDG solution in our package. And again, we have decided to pre-enable, activate, test them, and wherever possible to build a specific business content to provide to our customer. Specifically with 2021, there is a new functionality that is called derivation scenarios that allow you to define derivation rules and to pre-populate fields and attributes during your consolidation and mass processing processes. Yeah, this is also covered as part of our Quick Start. We have a sample implementation for this that you can use for your reference. We decide also to continuously enrich the analytical content, building additional KPIs in order to provide you more samples that you can use in your system. And additionally, what we have done, we have also enabled the rule mining functionalities that are available in data quality management in order to let you leverage machine learning technology to infer, to discover business rules that are hidden within your data set, right? This is the current status. What we are going to do in the next months, right? Here you have a small summary of our, let's say, roadmap. So first of all, we will continue to develop the package, and we are already planning to release the next version of it as soon as S/4HANA 2022 FPS 01 is available, right? So more or less, we should be able to release it at the beginning of Q2 of next year, 2023. We plan to move forward and increase the number of data quality rules that will be part of the Quick Start package in order to provide you more content, to help you more in order to understand better the quality of your data. We also start to check how we can support the Federation of Master Data. As you know, this is a new hot topic that is currently developed within SAP. And so we are also trying to include this inside our MDG Quick Start package in order to provide you at least an initial support for this kind of iteration scenario. Last but not least, what we will do, we will of course enrich the Quick Start content with all the new functionalities that will be released by the MDG solution, right? Exactly like we did with the latest releases, we will continue to expand the scope of our Quick Start package with these new functionalities. And on the side, what we have decided to do, we have also decided to develop what we call a set of accelerators, right? That can go in parallel or on top of the MDG Quick Start service that we just discussed. These accelerators are actually pre-built extension or custom data models that helps you to govern, to control additional objects within the SAP MDG solution. And at the moment, we are developing them and we are working on purchasing for record, on source list, and on routing, right? All these three objects will be available as part of our accelerator packages and will be available for you in order to, again, extend the capabilities of SAP MDG and to speed up the process instead of starting from scratch, developing all the data model and all the requirement technical artifacts. We will help you with some pre-built content that you can take it and then build on top in order to fulfill your specific business requirements. Yeah. And with this slide, I conclude our presentation. And Laura, we will be happy to move to the Q&A session. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you both. Thanks, Dilip and Ricardo, for the presentation. Feel free to unshare your screen so that we're all seen again. Yeah, and I'd like to open it up for Q&A. There are a few questions in the chat that I've seen during the call. Two from Marcus. It might have been covered in the presentation already. However, I of course want to tackle that question as well. So Marcus is asking, is the Quick Start package applicable for greenfield implementations only? I think Dilip, you covered that.
Yeah, so I think we did cover it in the presentation. So a lot of our customers who are using Quick Start are looking at a greenfield implementation. But we do have also customers who are on brownfield and who still leverage Quick Start. Yeah. So brownfield means you already have implemented one domain and now you're extending your MDG to a second domain. Quick Start is equally useful because we do bring in content into your existing brownfield system and we set it up. So from a content perspective, there is no difference. It's only the deployment approach that's different. Yeah. But if you're a brownfield customer looking at starting your second domain, absolutely, MDG Quick Start can be used.
Perfect, thanks. And then the second question also from Marcus, how fast can an MDG Quick Start system be deployed and handed over to the project team?
Okay, this is a very interesting question. The fastest MDG deployment that has been ever done is 3 working days. So in 3 working days, a customer was able to receive our system and have a fully working MDG on their cloud infrastructure. Yeah, so this is the fastest we have seen. Because when we, of course, MDG Quick Start, the whole idea is to enable you to start your journey very fast, right? But it's a handshake between our team and the customer's infrastructure team. So if you're able to receive this and very quickly deploy it in your environment and get it up, then you can have a working system really, really fast. So the fastest record is at 3 working days now. Yeah, can't name the customer, but it's possible to do it very fast.
Okay, good to know. And then Anthony was just asking whether a demo is available. I don't know whether you prepared something today, but
we didn't plan a demo actually because the time was, was enough more for Q&A and for the presentation. But Ricardo, do you plan to?
I can do it, yes.
Could you give a maybe extempo? Can you give a quick view of the MDG screen just to give an impression of the entirety of the solution?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just sharing again my screen. And Anthony, just as an example here, I just logged in with one of the reference user that we provide with the Quick Start, and this one is specific for Material Master, right? And you can see this particular reference user has all the tiles related to Material Master pre-enabled and assigned to his user, right? So I'm just logged in the Fiori Launchpad of one of our sandboxes, and you can see how many different application and tiles we provide as part of the delivery of our Quick Start service. Yeah. So here you have, for example, some analytical tiles that are just refreshed. We have tiles for consolidation, we have tiles for mass processing, and so on, right? So as you can see, we really provide a set of rich content pre-enabled for you in the system, and would be, the same for independently from the domain, sorry, that you are going to activate, you're going to purchase with the Quick Start. That's an example for Material Master, but if I log in with the reference user for Customer Master, for example, would be something similar. Right?
So this would be, Anthony, your starting point on day one. Yeah, on day one, when you log into MDG, this is how it will look like. There is no more going through the config guide and setting up a lot of things. And here, Ricardo only showed you the full extent of the applications, but the value of MDG Quick Start goes much beyond that. Once you go into each of these applications, you see pre-configured workflows, pre-configured rules, pre-configured validation scenarios, distribution scenarios. So it's very, very rich. But just to give you a glimpse, right, since we didn't plan a demo per se today, on day one, when you sit down with your business on an MDG system, this is how it look like. So when I say in 3 days, you can get your system up and running, in 3 days time, this is how your system will look like. Yeah. So you can compare this to the traditional approach and see how long it'll take you actually to get this to this point. Forget about all the content that's behind this and all the enriched business rules and so on that are delivered, right? Hope that gives you an idea. We didn't plan a full-fledged demo per se today.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope that gave you a quick overview, Anthony. And maybe, who knows, we might have another community call in the future to cover maybe a more in-depth demo as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there are no other questions in the chat. Maybe both of you, Dilip and Ricardo, do you have, let's say, 3 to 5 key takeaways for the community members that you think they should definitely remember from today's session?
Yeah, so maybe a few thoughts, right? If you are an MDG architect or if you're a customer partner implementing MDG, first look at, can MDG Quick Start actually help you accelerate your MDG journey? A lot of customers are starting their MDG journey with MDG Quick Start. So there are very few reasons why you should not do it as well, right? That's point number one. So point number two, MDG Quick Start comes with a fully configured MDG system with the best practices and SAP recommended approach on how MDG implementations should be done. So this is a huge value add and gives you a solid foundation to get your project off the ground. Yeah. MDG Quick Start is aimed at easing your MDG implementation, both in terms of time as well as in cost, to ensure you have a very quick value leverage from your MDG investment. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to share. So keep these 3 things in mind, and always evaluate before you go into the traditional approach whether MDG Quick Start is the right choice for you. As far as I know, there's very few implementations today which does not use an MDG Quick Start today. So unless you have a very, very compelling reason why you don't want to do that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Actually, that did come a question in the chat from Bharat Kumar, who's asking, is there any documents for the reference? So maybe for you, so we will share the slide deck in the video description down below in the next couple of days. So that will be available as well, but maybe also on the topic page, of course, I did send a link there. In SAP Community, we have a topic page as well about the topic where you find further insights into the topic. But yeah, maybe Ricardo Dilip, is there any reference documents? I think everything is shared in there, right?
Everything is shared. So we do deliver actually documentation together with the Quick Start. So when customers start their journey with Quick Start, they do get all the additional content and scenarios documented and delivered to them. And as Ricardo said, we also then walk you through that system on your environment to show you what is in the box.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. So there are no additional questions in the chat. So you might have seen I did post a few links in the chat, such as, for example, the community profiles from Ricardo and Dilip. So feel free to follow them to see their contributions in the SAP community as well. And yeah, if there might be questions coming up also to the ones listening to the recording, feel free to reach out to Dilip or Ricardo, or alternatively also post your questions in the SAP community. And I also did share a link for upcoming SAP community events, such as SAP Community Calls. So feel free to visit the page there and find all the details for upcoming SAP Community Calls. Yeah, so everyone who's listening in now, thank you for joining. The recording will be available directly afterwards. And as I've just mentioned, the presentation, the slide deck, will be also available in the video description down below. And with that being said, closing words from you both, and then I would close the call for today.
So all good from my side. Good luck with your MDG implementation, and feel free to reach out to me or Ricardo in case you have further questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, and I wish you a nice day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.